Alright, so I'm currently trying to 100% my profile on PlayStation. There's a grand total of 140 games I need to finish. The goal is to do them all before the channel hits 1.15 million subscribers, or else I lose another challenge on the channel. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Anyways, in today's video, I chose to 100% complete one of my most favorite games and videos I've made in the past, High on Life. If you guys know me, then you know my sense of humor is pretty amazing, and High on Life fits that like a glove. There is also a sequel coming out soon, I think, so what better time than now to go back and clean up that 100% being the High on Knife DLC pack. It consists of about 5 hours of gameplay with 12 trophies to hunt down, and there's actually some missions to pay attention to.
No, you're fucking.
So starting off today, the first stage is just enjoy the story and get the missables of it as you do, and they follow pretty close with the guide, so I just had another tab open to monitor them as I played. But the DLC just opens up with a cutscene showing us it's 2 years later and we are back at the crib talking to Jean like the good old days all over again. After some chatter, you get a new objective from this letter on the fridge, which is to go to Mxelon HQ because a package has been left there for Knifey, and its sender is from his home world, which leads him to believe he has a chance to get back there somehow because of this package, I guess. And Knifey is just missing his home so much, the glory lives on in his head rent-free. Like Notre Dame's 2 losses are haunting me every waking hour. I hate this team. Holy shit.
Oh my god!
Anyways, you then use the bounty machine to begin the mission. We were off to Paroxys, which is the planet that Mxelon HQ is on, and also where the DLC takes place today for the entirety of it. The first goal is just ask someone for directions because we are on a foreign planet, obviously, and have no idea what's going on. You chat with a slug that has a salt addiction, and that's the first, like, big joke of the DLC. If you don't get it, slugs are very wet creatures, and salt is a substance that traditionally dries everything out. So this dude is pretty much just dying, and he coughs up mucus every time he speaks. Absolutely beautiful game to play on an uneasy stomach. Anyways, he didn't tell us anything besides just to head into town and find someone better to ask advice from. On the way, you also encounter your first combat section, and there's actually 2 trophies from combat in this DLC, with the first one being that ball, folks, from killing 100 enemies with a fully charged ball shot. And then the other one is called Harper, I barely know her, from killing 50 enemies with Harper's glob shot. And you're kind of supposed to farm these out as you play to avoid annoying cleanup after everything else, but you actually can't even do the ball one yet because we don't even have that gun yet due to it being from the story. It also has been a long time since I played this game, so I kind of forgot what Harper's glob shot even was and how weak it is. So I was kind of just using her normally for most of the beginning of the DLC. The glob shot is literally just the R1 ability, by the way, so yes, I am retarded. But not only do you have to know what it does, you have to really time it up with weak enemies or just get multiple hits on enemies in general, because that ability is not really meant to kill, and that's what we need for the trophy. Anyways, moving on, I made it to the big city of this planet that we are going to be in for all of today, and there's actually a missable trophy you can get right away called Give Away All Your Money, from granting the dying wish of a sick slug. And this is done by just going to the hospital and talking to a dying slug until he asks you to give him all of our money because we are actually quite rich. Upon doing so and fulfilling his capitalist dreams, he then dies suddenly. We definitely weren't the cause of that, but we might have been the solution. Anyways, here's the trade pop after I did all of that. I then just ran around for a second or two, chatting up the locals, trying to figure out where I was supposed to be heading. Eventually, I did run out of NPCs to talk to meaninglessly, and I went over to this instructor, as they call him, who had this whole target range set up. And this is also when we unlock the balls gun, which shoots out balls as you would expect. Like I said, this was needed for the other combat trophy, but then you do a target range and you have to hit a certain score to pass, but there was also quite a large high score to go after, and you actually do need to beat that high score for a collectible later on. But for now, I just passed it and then moved on with the story because we were now set free of swords to leave the town and make our way to Mxelon HQ. So that's what I did, and there's basically just parkour to get there or at least to traverse the next areas of the story. Also combat here and there like any other game has. And I was also trying my best now to use the balls guns charged attack, as you can see, because I need 100 kills with that. And the trophy guide actually states that this is the wrong way to go about this, and you needed to use the bounce back feature instead to get the charge kills. But I used the normal charge way the entire time, and it tracked my kills just fine, so I think bro might be tripping or something. But after a while in a lot of combat, we spot a giant-ass alien in the distance who is also not wearing any clothing. The goods are packed away under this hot slime liquid thing. Who knows, this might be alien cum. But there was a trophy here from taking a bath with Toxo, who is this alien I'm talking about. And you actually can't do it all in one go because the hot cum will burn you alive. That shit is not safe. So you just kind of have to dip in as long as you can, reset your HP, then go back for sloppy seconds. And after spending enough time bathing with the very appealing alien, the trophy pops right into your lap. But this guy wasn't just here for a funny trophy added add into our list. Oh no, he is actually needed for the story, and after a lot of debacle and riffraff, he sends you on this body journey, but not one of self-improvement like Lizzo is doing and failing at, rather one regarding him and these parasites he has all over his body sucking away at his mass. Not gonna lie, maybe those parasites are trying to help a guy out, but hey, who's the judge? So I just kind of had to run around and shoot him for a while. It wasn't necessarily a challenge at all, and it was actually kind of funny, to be honest. I love how High on Life makes these stupidest things into a game. It's actually peak. But eventually he gets a bit more serious due to our compliance, and he sends us down to this bar below because, well, you'll see why. Yeah, the bar may or may not have some partial cheeks inside of it. And for YouTube monetization, these are just very decorative wall pieces and nothing else. Thank you. This is the game. Let's all relax.
Oh my god!
Anyways, in the bar, there's actually a trophy called Meet Frasier from Frasier, which has gotten from staying in the Cheeks bar until it closes. It's a very simple trophy. You literally just don't leave. But there was a few instances where you had to engage with the slugs and what they were asking of us, whether it be to just talk to somebody, tell someone a secret, run in a circle, whatever, it doesn't matter. You have to do what they want because we need that trophy and we need it bad. After going through everything and quite a few funny story beats, the trophy did pop, but that unfortunately left me with having to deal with the aliens parasite problems again. So I did have to do some grooming in the nether regions, and yeah, at least it's dark in here. You then leave the bar and head back to talk to the brother about our success, and he then had no more purposes for us, so he told us to f off and then threw us across the planet over this big toxic river that we couldn't cross earlier to get closer to Mxelon HQ, which is our goal after all. And before continuing the story, you want to actually immediately turn left and run or dash all the way over to the structure off in the distance, because you can get a trophy here from shooting the riddle master after all of his riddles and him literally looking us in the eyes and saying, "Go ahead and shoot me."
Shoot me! That's what I'm saying.
The riddles he had were also complete BS, and I genuinely tried on one of them and I just had no clue what it was. I don't think there was a solution, but hey, whatever, man. I thought my genius could overpower him. So, yeah, I did it, and I just shot the guy and got the trophy. W Santa Claus, by the way. I love North Pole propaganda. Moving on, the next area the DLC led us to was a ranch because we needed a way to sneak into Mxelon HQ, and apparently they had a big biological matter trade that's going on with these very, intriguing looking characters. However, before the guy who owns the ranch was going to help us, we need to do something for him. You know, tick for tack, as they say. And he gave us the directive of cleaning out a poacher outpost full of enemies. Poachers and just bad people have been messing with his ranch full of, yeah, animals. Sure, let's go with that. But cleaning out the outpost of poachers actually did take quite a while because of how many there were. You also did have to parkour up to the top of a mountain or island they were on. During the combat, however, I got another trophy, and it was one of 2 combat trophies, thankfully, being the ball one from getting 100 kills with the charged ball shot. Love a charged ball shot. I can't lie. Anyways, a few moments after that, I also reached the Poacher King, as the game calls them, and it's literally just some average white guy chilling in a dark room, hypnotizing them to do his bidding. God, I love the whites. Shout out the whites for real. So he just agreed to stop, and then we were off on our own way, heading back to the rancher guy next, and then chatting it up one last time before doing the forbidden deed that we must do to sneak into Mxelon HQ through one of his creatures. I'm not gonna show it because it's gross, but long story short, we ended up inside of one of those things. And yeah, it's got a lot of room, actually bigger than an overpriced New York apartment. But inside this thing, as it gets sent off to Mxelon HQ, you can get a missable trophy, and you have to because it's one of the only trophies in the game that is actually missable, and it's from finding a way to make love to the parasite passenger. I followed the guide video for this, but you pretty much just have to pick the creature guns dialogue line and then the most straightforward flirting options until it gets to the let's just line. After they, I don't even want to know what they do. Get finished with, the trophy then popped in. Yeah, let's move on. Jesus Christ, what is my life? So yeah, we ended up in Mxelon HQ, and this is, you know, the final-ish area of the DLC story because, well, we made it to our goal. But essentially, the place was just completely overran and infected with this giant purple goo creature. It was very odd, but you kind of just had to fight her and the enemies inside of the place for most of that gameplay. Eventually, you also do get given this chainsaw upgrade for Knifey, which was a key story item and also very cool and funny with his reaction. Upon getting a kill using him for the first time, you also do get a trophy just from that. But back to the story at Mxelon, we had to get rid of this thing, run in the place to get our package, and you do this by just going around and destroying the purple blob's organs that are just scattered about. Seems like kind of a dumb way to live, but hey, we have seen dumber things today. Shout out to the Cheeks bar. Eventually, you make it to the boss fight against Mux, who is this bitch running the place. The fight itself was also not super easy, just because actually doing damage took a lot of effort and timing. This thing also looked disgusting, by the way. I have to say, yeah, Lizzo has competition. Anyways, after doing enough damage, you break open the blob and ride this spinal cord up all the way to the tippy top to then stab the rest of Mux's life force out of here. A very peaceful, relaxing, and kid-friendly ending to the game, with a trophy from that mess popping right afterwards. However, that's not it for the story, because then, now that we have ridded Mux of control and we have access to Mxelon HQ's flight control, you then set off to Knifey's homeworld to see what's going on there, because he finally got his package from them and had to go back and see. And upon doing that, we see numerous Knifey lookalikes, all dressed in robes, by the way, for an event called the Great Sharpening. They also mention how Knifey is still in exile and is not welcome at all on the planet, and that package was just his remaining belongings that they sent him in good faith, feeling bad that he was exiled. And after seeing Knifey up close, though, they regretted that, and a few of them still transcended for the Great Sharpening, which requires you to be peaceful as a knife, by the way. But there was one knife that hated Knifey just as much as I hate Lizzo, and she begins to lose her over it and can no longer transcend into knife heaven. Suck on that, bitch. Knifey also did take this as his chance to kill everyone, and that's then what you do to finish off the story of the game. But then it does send you back to the crib, and Jean is still chilling. And that's then stage 1 finished with, so it's officially time for stage 2. Packages, trade cards, and more combat trophy cleanup, unfortunately. And I'm not gonna lie, most of these trophies were very long, and I just followed guides to get all the collectibles, which is the majority of the trophies I had left to get. It took me almost 2 hours of collectible grabbing to get everything. There also was 1 or 2 races that you had to do for trading cards, which were very, very hard to get, and I legitimately almost crashed out. 2023 Its Ilusion is about to make a valiant return in this 100% challenge with some of these damn games. But ultimately, after all the boring collectible BS that is just so fun, I will get the trophy called Cardboard from collecting all the trading cards, being just 9 total. And then the Porch Pirate trophy from finding all the packages almost right after. The last 2 trophies I had then took some farming, unfortunately. Mostly just for the 50 glob kills with Harper, though, because that fucking gun sucks ass, dude. It's actually awful. Just like the ratings for High on Knife, which I found very shocking. Critics are so serious. Get a life, bro. If a YouTuber has to tell you to get a life, you know something's up on it. But yeah, I just farmed out kills with her glob shot. It was kind of poopy. Eventually, I did get 50 though, and the trophy finally popped, thank God. But then my last trophy was called Seesaw from visiting every major Paroxian landmark and reporting back to the tour guide. I also did do all of them while I was farming Harper's glob shot kills, so I just legit had to run back and then turn them in. Upon doing so, the final trophy popped, and that was then High on Knife 100% completed with. Also topping off the High on Life game in general. Overall, I had a very fun time. The collectible cleanup was kind of poopy doopy. I have never and will never be a fan of collectibles in games, but hey, it's not hard, it's just annoying. But once more, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you again tomorrow with another game 100% completed. Thank you for watching.